Hello and welcome to NewFilmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo and we're here at Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood. I'm delighted to be joined with Devon and Brittany with their movie, The Future Is One. Let's take a little clip. I'm so happy to have such talent in the room and welcome to the NewFilmmakers Los Angeles family. Thank you so much for being here, and for those that haven't seen your film, tell us the brief synopsis.
Yeah, for sure. So it's about this voyager who discovers herself sort of trapped in this very desolate landscape, and she's in this landscape alone. She's sort of just coming to terms with sort of where she's been previously to before coming here in this space, and so she's starting to confront this this new state that she's in this tumultuous kind of state of mind, and while she's in this state of mind, something starts to awaken within her, and show her a possible new path forward.
But I just want to say both of you are super talented. Like, honestly, I love it when you both can create a world for us that we've not seen, a perspective we've not seen, and then through this incredible, beautiful dance piece of expression, it was just magical.
Thanks.
And it was so great to see on the big screen. It's powerful up there on the big screen.
Yeah.
It was.
And whoever wants to give their take on this, where did the inspiration come from in creating this project?
Wow. I mean, the inspiration, I was inspired by Devon's vision. Obviously, Devon can speak to his own inspiration. But I found that when he came to me to make the project, I executively produced it and my production company, and it was so beautiful and intimate. And it felt like this was a story that every single person has within them. And it inspired me more, each person that I talked to bring onto the project. So for me, I was inspired by Devon's vision, really.
And Devon, we'll obviously go more into that. How did you two come together? Because obviously it was a little match made in heaven right there.
Yeah. No, it was super great. One of my friends who used to live in San Francisco, when I lived up there too, he got into directing, and then moved down here, a couple years back, or a couple years before we went and filmed the film, and I was talking to him just about, I was like, I gotta have this sort of weird campy kind of thing that I was doing. It was very different back then. I was like, this is it's kind of like a fun campy sort of thing. I don't really know what it's gonna be, but I know I need people like you. And he's like, well, you need a producer. And I was like, sick. Okay, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, and that's it. That's how I found Brittany. Yeah.
That's true.
That's amazing. Well, and listen, this is not. I mean, there's so much. What I love of what you've given us is that I always love when you can watch it a few times and still gain something different. I watched it a few times and I gained more depth from it as well. And visually, the experience to visually watch it is quite something as well. Now, it's never easy making a dance choreographed piece inside of a film and then making sure you get all the context that you want to put out there, but you nailed it. How was that experience? How was it choreographed in this? Who did you work with, and what was that experience like from that dynamic first?
Should I take this?
Yeah.
So Devon gave us these incredible, in lieu of a script, because there's no dialogue in the picture. In lieu of a script, he gave us these really beautiful storyboards. He's incredibly talented graphically as well. And so these really, really detailed to where the story was following the dance as he had it in his mind. And then we worked with the cast, and this is sort of I'm always a domino effect kind of lady. And so we found I found, you know, through a girl that I thought I was maybe gonna cast a dancer, and then she was like, oh, you've got to talk to Melissa Shady. Melissa Shady is our choreographer. She is astoundingly talented, and she actually led us to many dancers that she's worked with, and we did a casting with many dancers, and we of course ended with Stephanie Kim and Ken Jones, and that process was incredible.
Well, it's crazy too, because the auditions that they gave, I mean, Ken's, as soon as I saw hers, I was like, absolutely, yeah. She's
No
like,
question.
that was,
It's not a good feeling.
yeah,
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
it was magical.
It was very easy. Stephanie's role for that character was a little bit harder, and we were juggling a couple different people, and her audition was very short, and I was still like questioning it. I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work, but Adrian, the director, and my friend who I was talking about earlier, he used to be a dancer, I think, and
He has some background as well, and I remember us discussing them together and discussing Melissa as the choreographer, Ken and Stephanie all together, because we knew they would be working together intimately, and it was something that was just like, who belongs together? And then, oh my gosh, I just remembered, we found out in a rehearsal that Ken's birthday is my father's birthday, and Stephanie's birthday is my mother's birthday.
Of course.
Oh.
There you go.
Remember that?
There was a bunch of stuff like that.
It was
No coincidence.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
amazing. It was amazing.
One thing you mentioned as well is that, you know, aside from having the talent as a dancer and, you know, obviously talent as an actor, there was a real true essence of intimacy that had to be was vital to kind of creating, you know, this experience. And like visually, like I felt like it was so intimate in a really powerful way. You really captured that well on camera. How do you go about creating that space? How do you go about sharing that with your actors, and you know, from both a production standpoint, you know, from how you visually see it, but also, you know, doing that within a concept of a dance piece as well. It's a lot, but you really captured it so wonderfully well.
I feel like so much of that has to do with Anne-Laure.
Yeah.
So Anne-Laure
editor.
Duke is our editor.
Yeah.
And again, I am so passionate, Devon and I talk about this constantly, I'm so passionate about equality in, and we were talking about this before, equality in crew, and how we cannot make one single thing without every single person. That's why this time during the strike is so painful, especially as a producer, and you know, running an independent production company. I just want us to all work together so badly.
Absolutely.
And so it's so important to me. And Anne-Laure, back to the point, Anne-Laure, our editor, I really believe she created that intimacy in the film. I mean, she is phenomenal. She's a phenomenal editor.
So positive.
So
just
positive.
Every day, like no matter the crazy like edits that, because it was all three of us. It was Adrian, Brittany, and I, like in the editing room for 2 days. You know, just and she was very patient, just super positive.
And her imagination, she knew that the
so
intimacy.
good.
So Melissa Shady, and also I'll speak to Julianne as well, Julianne Dorico, the costume designer, and that intimacy was created through that dress. Like it's amazing. So the intimacy created in the rehearsal space with Melissa Shady and the women, learning the choreography and dancing and truly getting to know each other. Then when we shot it, but I think that the intimacy was created in the edit, because in real life we're out on a hilltop in the middle of you know, Chino Hills Park, and so it didn't feel intimate, it felt expansive. And so that's why I think, you know, I credit that to Anne-Laure.
Yep.
Well, Brittany, you're the producer that we need, because honestly, the way you celebrated, both of you celebrated your team. You know, you've really, team is everything, and you know, clearly that, you know, you have a fantastic team that's really all put their efforts into this. So, you know, well done. And you know, it's also nice to praise our editors, because they do an incredible job and always undersung. Devon, for you, like looking back on when you first had this idea, and kind of where you wanted to take it. Like, what did you want your audience to take from your film?
That's a great question.
That is a good question. I think I wanted everyone to kind of take their own thing from it, and actually that's why I didn't really. And if you have further follow-up questions, I won't dive too much into like where it came from on my side, because I like the ambiguity of what is your perspective on on this film, and even being with some of our friends, during this weekend, they gave me their perspective and stuff like that, and it's just it's so interesting to hear how people perceive things, and I think that if I was to say like what I think it is, it's a very different experience. So I think that just I don't know if that really answers your question, but
no, I love that you left it openly enough to the audience and they would have their own interpretations. I can tell you that I was not having the best day, and I watched your film and it made me feel liberated and a little bit more powerful than what I felt like 5 minutes prior to that, and that's because of the engagement and the intimacy and character and just the importance of the kind of evolution through expression as well, which you really showed in these characters. So and then seeing it on the big screen, it was so impressive to hear. So what is like, whether what you want your audience to take from it, what's the reaction been like for you?
Gosh, what's the reaction been like for you? I think we were experiencing it a little differently, both really great, but what's...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been really, really positive. Actually, one of my friends who was there yesterday for the screening and has kind of been supporting me throughout the whole process, like she was telling me when it first came out, she was just like, my jaw dropped. I was so surprised that like this is something that you did. Not because she didn't think that we could do it, but it was just like so surprising, and it really came together. And it's it's been pretty much the same thing through the process too. Ken had like a personal sort of attachment to it, and that was really interesting to hear about. I think Stephanie did as well, and I think generally, really, really positive. I think that they had a lot of questions, which is exactly where I wanted to be. Just like I want you guys to have questions, and so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the best thing you can get from a film, particularly in your style, is questions.
Yes.
People are thinking about it and they want to know more, and I think as well, like, you want to know the imaginations behind this film, like, who are these amazing people? What is next for you both? I hope you're working on something again next, but together and individually. You
go first.
Oh man. Well, so part of the reason why we wanted it to be ambiguous is, well, because it's nonverbal, so it's very, it has a lot of ambiguity just in that space. But it sort of also feeds into the second aspect of the piece, which is that it's a proof of concept for a longer form version. And so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm writing that one, and I've finished a treatment for it and opening sequence. It needs a lot of massaging, and Brittany has not seen it yet.
Yes, we're ready for it. Devon. We're ready for it. Yes.
Yeah, she's been ready for a year, or maybe 2. Yeah, but yeah. So that's what I'm working on, a longer form piece that kind of goes into the motifs that I started to establish. If you keep watching it, you'll start to see some of them, perhaps. Visual motifs are really big for me because I'm a graphic designer, so building on that design language, and then giving more space for the actual story itself, talking about like what exactly that experience is, through metaphor still, because I think for me personally, I'm really inspired by Arthurian legends, and so I'd like to keep that thread of sort of like, metaphor going through, or allegory, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, you definitely use those graphic design skills in the articulation of this story, so really excited to hear that's not the last of it, for sure. And I know you're ready for it, obviously, Brittany, but
I am.
For that, and what's the next for you too?
Yeah, so The Future is Worn was one of the earlier projects for Havelock Studios, my shop, and now it's amazing because it's so thrilling that we're still talking about The Future is Worn in such a beautiful way. And since then, we've developed several other projects. We've got 3 or 4 features that are on our slate, and we're putting those together as a package and financing those. That's another reason why I just cannot wait for us to get back to work. And it's going to be thrilling just to hire everybody. I love hiring everyone.
Yes, back again.
Yeah, back again.
Yeah.
And so I think probably I shouldn't say the most, I shouldn't be biased, but I'm very excited about a project that I just found at Sundance this year. It's called The Last Queen's Painter, and it's a story. It's so cool. It's a real painter. Her name's Lizette, and she was the last painter to paint Marie Antoinette before she was beheaded.
Wow.
So I'm really excited about that. Yeah, it's gonna be so beautiful.
Oh,
yeah.
Super exciting. And just to finalize on you both, individually to our filmmaking audience, we'll start with yourself, Brittany, but like you started a production company, you're a producer. Congratulations on that. Not everyone has the everything that you need to kind of move forward. And so from your perspective as a filmmaker, as a producer, for anyone out there that's trying to follow in those footsteps of yours, like, what do you go by? What things keep you motivated and going to share with our filmmaking audience?
Wow, that's such a great question. It makes me emotional. Love it. I cannot do anything else. I must do this. And my dad always talked about this, my brother and my mom and my sister-in-law, we always talk about this, that it is only about the relationships in your life, and it is. Last night we went out and celebrated, and I was there with a wonderful DP friend of mine who I just was like, oh my gosh, I'm in town only for one night, can you come out? And we met like 10 years ago reading at a bar, and now it just, the relationships are the only thing that makes it happen, because I really believe that the strength of the relationship shows in the art.
Oh, absolutely.
And
it's also just like it's like one of the very few things that there's so many different types of artists coming together, and it's just like, that's part of the reason why we'd like to, why we're championing
Yep.
these other people, because it's just their work is so good, and
Absolutely.
it's worth showing.
And for you, Brittany, love it. I think is a really important thing, and that's why it's great that you found each other. And for you, Devon, very much like both of you, both very humble people. What advice do you have to someone who's got an idea and then wants to articulate it? What is that step in the middle that helps supports you in that journey?
Do something that you really believe in, like 100%. And even if it's really, really painful, a lot of this was very painful for me.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have to come back to it day after day, but you can use that in everything that you do. You use that as motivation, but also use it in like how you design, for the different aspects of it, how you're informing your own decisions with editing, with, art department and stuff like that. That's what I would say.
I love that journey, how we took it from a little bit of pain, and now we're here celebrating your film and looking forward to your next. And I'm very, very happy for you both. Welcome to the New Filmmakers LA family. But thank you very much to Devon and to Brittany.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danny.